Put down the hammer, and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show, yeah. Real estate info galore, so listen up, don't miss it. Hosted by the Savvy Landlord,
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, let me tell you something. This is, I'm at 260 something episodes for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and I have in the studio with me one of my inspirations in my world. It's Luke Ward. He was the first interview that I ever did on the radio show. This is back in May of 2015, and this superstar, young, I don't know what to call you, it was willing to come back on the radio and confess all of what he has learned for the last year and a half, almost 2 years. And you need to go back and listen to episode 001 to get all the final details, where he came from. He's 25 years old. He had 14 units and he was killing it. Now, 2017 in February on Valentine's Day. How cool is that we're recording this today on Valentine's Day? And you are a part of the superstardom of Speedy House Buyers, Oklahoma City, killing it, crushing it with 10 or more deals a month. I know I just closed a deal last month with you guys. Mm-hmm. I've probably closed with your partner probably 10 deals. I mean, at least 15, and I'm a small real estate investor, and I know you guys are turning deals like crazy, so we're going to get into that, and now we're just going to be authentic and real. So what's it been like for a year? I know that's a broad question. We'll get into details. A year and a half. Oh, another thing I need to tell you, he's been a world traveler, running a business on another continent. So we're going to cover that too.
Well, that was more than gracious. I don't know if all that is 100% as you put it, but thank you very much.
Yeah, man. This is Luke Ward. I appreciate you being on the radio show. So when you started out, you had 14 units. You were going to be this superstar landlord. And then during that process, things changed. You have grown. You have matured in a year and a half of life. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in your world.
Oh, let's see. Mostly we're focusing solely on wholesaling houses right now, wanting to get into a few more fix and flips and buying rentals still. But for the last year and a half, I guess like 2 months after I did this show with you, Sean and I decided to partner up. Sean's been on, I think, a couple episodes with you. Yeah. And for a while, he was like the number one wholesaler, in my opinion, in Oklahoma City. And for whatever reason, one day he asked me, "Hey, you want to do this together?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?"
Well, I think you're the only one that was grinding it out as well as he was, as active, I guess you would say. And I think that really excited him.
It could be. I don't know. We have never actually had that full conversation, but
I can't remember. I actually overheard him say that. I think it was at a meeting where it was like, why reinvent the wheel? Like two great people get together to have us. I mean, I think it was that simple.
It might have been. And so far we've been, I don't want to say necessarily lucky, but we've been, we've done a lot of good things, and we're growing, and it's been a lot of fun, and we've definitely had some headaches, but
all right.
We've done what we wanted to do so far.
So, okay, first of all, Speedy House Buyers. Why'd you come up with that name? How'd that come about?
I don't remember. I do remember I was the one who came up with it, but I think I was just, because Sean's he sits and thinks for his ideas, and I just blurt until something sticks.
It's a good team.
And I don't know, we were just spitballing, and I think we wanted to pick something, and it kind of encompasses the service we provide our sellers, because it is faster than a typical transaction, and it was something that wasn't in the area, and it wasn't necessarily I can't even think of what it was, but it just kind of came out, and we thought, that's
sure, right on. So what now? Obviously, being a wholesaler is you get to pick the cherries as a real estate investor. Mm-hmm. And why'd you pick being a wholesaler versus not just sticking with as a real estate investor or landlord or even doing flips? I know you have a couple flips we'll talk about here in a minute, but
well, for me, because I needed to build a bunch of cash reserves. I still have more units than I had last time I was on the show, but it was I was living off that. It was okay because I had just graduated college not too long before. I had zero expenses, which is fine and dandy. But as we all grow up, we want more things. We want to do more things. We want to go see things.
Yeah, I saw your slick car out there.
Well, thank you. It's all right. And so, I mean, living off my rental income of whatever it was at the time wasn't going to cut it. Wholesaling is a quick, easy cash way to do it. It's more interesting to me. I love trying to find deals. I love negotiating with buyers and sellers, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
So how do you let them all go? Like, don't you want to grab them all? Or
sometimes, definitely not all of them. Yeah,
not the properties I buy.
Yeah.
I noticed you didn't jump on mine.
Yeah. That's and we are in a hot market right now, so I'm
like
all right with it.
So like in your mind, like there's a house on Northwest something, and you're like, we can make 20 G's on this or 10 G's or whatever, or you could hold it. You're like, let's take the money now. So because what's your train of thinking on that?
Yeah, I just think that I don't want to say I'd be a contrarian, but while everybody's buying right now, might as well sell to everybody that's buying, and then if and when we see another recession, I say if at some point, it's economics, Sure. It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's called cycles.
Yeah, so start buying then. Like I buy a unit here and there and fix it up and put a renter in there. And the other thing, we were just talking before we started about what are you good at? I'm not good at property management. I'm just not.
Well, I think you learned a lot when you traveled. Were you have units?
Yeah.
You had you were gone for how long were you in Europe for?
That trip I was gone for, I think 7 weeks.
Okay. And I'm assuming you had managerial issues.
No, not so much. When I was in Costa Rica in April, I was so pumped because I passed a Section 8 inspection without
being there,
and without a property manager and everything. But you better believe I was pulling my hair out, just trusting what this handyman is telling me. Things like that.
I think it's amazing that's why I love real estate, is that you can work from anywhere in the world and still turn deals and do all that. So, all right. So when you first got in the game, you kind of fell into this. You're like, real estate makes sense mathematically. That's kind of your deal. You got in. You got a great funding, and then now you're a business owner. I mean, you have staff that work. You have an office. All before you were just this little just trying to grab some properties. What's it like being? And we'll get into the whole international travel, but what's it like being a business owner at such a young age? And what gone right, gone wrong?
Hiring, at first, understanding when you've messed up versus when the person's messed up.
You're responsible.
Yeah, well, that and sometimes, like our VA for a long time, she is fantastic now. She does anything we ask, and sometimes really surprises us, and is always asking us for like a new challenge. But when she first started, I would have told you she sucked. But it wasn't that she sucked; it's that I didn't know what. You suck. I sucked. I didn't know what to tell her. I didn't know.
This is the process.
Yeah, this is the process.
You're creating the process as you're going.
Yeah, and a lot of times you create processes based on a mistake. Like, why did that happen? Okay, well, let's make sure it doesn't happen.
We have those laws. It's called the XX address law.
Yeah.
Like they burned us. No, we don't. We seriously, I call it that law. I call it the bling bling law.
Yeah. 123 Maple Street didn't pay us, so now every tenant 5-day notice.
We're not having a Maple again.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm being serious. Like we say that.
Yeah.
So going through processes. So, were you nervous? Like, when did you decide to go full time? And like, when did you there was a paradigm shift somewhere? Because I know you were fired up a year and a half ago, getting in the real estate, wanting a net worth, and then you kind of were deals running dry, or what was it like a forced to be? You were tired of other wholesalers. You couldn't find deals.
I think I was tired of not taking big action. I was. I knew that I could continue to grow with rentals, but actually I think what one of the main motivators was a financier told me, well, you don't have enough cash reserves for me to refinance you from your quote-unquote acquisition money.
Okay.
Acquisition money, higher interest rate, your cash flow is not as great, but you're getting to buy the house, and if you want to graduate up to the 5% or whatever interest
no money
rate,
down or whatever.
Yeah, and then you need to have enough cash in the bank to make it worth the banker's time and the risk.
That makes sense. So you needed cash.
Yeah.
And you have all this equity or no equity in these properties, and you couldn't refinance because they said that you didn't have enough ratios, all this BS. Okay, so that propelled you into business. So then all of a sudden you're creating the business. Why wholesaling per se versus like a property management company? There's people that have 1,000 units and they're making 10% on 1,000 units.
That just sounds like a big headache, and that's just not fun for me. I actually just switched to property management like 2 weeks ago, so that I don't have to deal with it anymore. And
You give them all to a property manager, is that
Yeah.
what you're saying? Cool. So you just now completely hands off, passive. On your
yeah,
real
as far
estate.
as my rentals go, yeah,
You're a component in the business now.
yeah, and it's because I think sometimes I look at myself. I am only 26 years old. I have an even younger face than that, and I don't have the personality to always stand up to a tenant all the time.
Let someone else do the dirty work.
Yeah, and so, it's the 4th or 5th of the month, time to serve a 5-day notice. You get the sob story. Okay, I can give you till the 7th. But in the long run, it's costing me. And some things always stuck with me. I remember you said one time, "You don't pay me. Well, that's how I eat." But I didn't take it that seriously, and so now.
Well, because you were. Yeah, I agree. I think you made the smart move. There's so many things that we were talking about off the radio that we need to outsource everything. Like, I'm not good at designing, I'm not good at property man. I enjoy the hustle. So, but I agree with you. I'm not into finance. I'm not into accounting. I mean, like, I like money. I want more,
Yeah.
and I want to manage it properly, but I don't want to take accounting class. That's just not my deal. I can't, it's like murder. So, all right. So you fell in love with the acquisition, finding the deal, and then, hey, what a great idea. Turn around and sell it for a profit. So that's what's wholesaling. And so that excited you. And then Sean approached you. You guys became, and this is Sean McVicker. He's all over the radio as well. So then he approached you. We started Speedy. And then, like, how did it start exploding?
Well, we have researched other wholesalers around the country, and we wanted to live a lifestyle. And in order to grow, you can do 2 to 3 deals a month as a normal wholesaler, one and done type. That might sound derogatory, but it is what it is. You don't have a staff, so you have to go to every single house. You have to sell every single house. You have to go to every single closing. You have to make every single phone call. And eventually you just don't have time to do as many deals as Sean and I wanted to do. And we wanted to automate a wholesaling business. And we knew it could be done based on podcasts we had listened to.
Other people are doing it.
Yes, other people are doing it. Why can't we? And so
you just
the
took all the good...
first leap in that was making our first hire. So we decided to do it.
And was that your acquisition person?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then you had to train this person, compensate this person, incentivize this person. So you send this person out there to represent you. How was that nerve-wracking? Are you worried about that they're going to offer too low and then you're not going to get the deal? That's a fear that I have.
We got fortunate because our first guy that we hired had experience, so he knew what he was doing. He had proven it to us on another deal that he had done. The thing that was a stretch for Sean and I was we didn't have tons of cash reserves, so starting this business was like, well, Sean and I used to go look at houses all the time, and if we would go look at a house together, we'd basically just split a deal. So we had enough deals in the pipeline that we were already splitting that it was like, well, no cash from our pocket. We'll start this business with these 3 deals right here.
Cool.
And if we don't get to pay ourselves for 2 months, whatever, we have enough cash reserves based on our separate businesses that we can pay ourselves, and in 2 to 3 months we'll start paying ourselves from Speedy House Buyers. And
right. Which has been going on for almost a year and a half now.
Last July something of 2015.
Okay, and so that to kickstart this business, you had to have a this acquisition guy, and I'm assuming you paid him on commission. Or did you play him a flat fee?
Well, he started out as a draw, so it is a commission, but it was on a draw, so that because we wanted somebody with experience just like him, and he has a family at home. He needs some security behind that, and we thought it's more important for us to have him, and we'll just live off our savings for a month or two, whatever, to get this off the ground, than it is for Sean and I to be able to pay ourselves from the business.
So basically a leap of faith. You're trusting your whole business or your life, per se, into this guy, and you're guaranteeing him. So now you're got the 8 ball behind you.
But he does pay it back based on his commissions.
Yeah, right. If he does his job.
Yeah. And Sean and I always knew that we're both good at this. So if we have to go back out and do it ourselves, it's really not a big deal.
Zero-based thinking. Go back. If I have to, like my mom dropped me off in Oklahoma, you can always come home. I never came home. Yep. You have to cut the bridge behind you. Okay, so that was your first hire, and then have you been through other acquisition people?
No, we've added. We've tried a few others to add with him because he wants to grow in our company. If we want to move to another city or something, he'd like to be a part of that and be in charge of the acquisitions people there. and things like that. And so we've tried a few out. We now have a second acquisitions girl, and
Cool.
she's been killing it. And so it's been good. And we've had some growth through our processes along the way. We now have an disposition or sales girl that we didn't have for the first 8 or 9 months.
That like shows it communicates to the end buyer like me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then your business model is that you have this marketing that you're geniuses of, online, in regular traditional marketing. You got a gentleman going out now, a girl and a guy going out, making offers, acquisitions, purchasing them. Then now you have them. Then you had to go get funding because you may have to do some transactional closing.
Very rarely. We've done it a few times.
Right. So you had to have that piece in the pie.
Well, I mean, a lot of times we'll do double closings, but
we all want double closings.
Yeah. In fact, I think we've only ever had to do hold on to a house for maybe 2 weeks before, but we already knew we were selling it to somebody else.
So that's why it's speedy.
It is super speedy. But we, fortunately, we are in positions now where we do have lines of credit if we need to do it and things like that. So.
Okay, so then you have another person. So you have the 2 acquisitions, and then you mentioned a VA. You have someone in the cloud.
Yep, she lives in Peru.
In Peru, do you have 1 or 2 VAs?
Just 1 right now.
Okay.
One essentially full time. You know, we have some that pull marketing lists or do things like that. They do specific jobs, but not.
Yeah,
she
like
works with us
one-offs is what I call them. Yeah. I have those people as well. So then you're managing 4 people, plus you have to have a relationship with the partner.
Mm-hmm.
And you're only 26 years old, and you're running it like an empire, like a real business.
I'm trying.
Do you ever wake up and realize that you're a business owner, that you're living your dream, or is this your dream, or what was your major in college?
My major was finance with a minor in real estate. So.
Okay. Well, there you go. So you're very rare, because every millennial in the world has changed their occupation like 10 or 15 times before high school per se. I don't know. So do you wake up and realize that you're even a business owner? I mean, does it come across your mind? I mean, you nervous about it?
I'm not nervous about it because I know that if I had to do it all again, I could. But
Henry Ford says that.
Yeah. So. What is it? That whether you think you can or can't, you're right.
Well, that's
actually tattooed on my side, so I don't know why.
Oh, right on.
That.
On your ass? No, no, but. You know, Henry Ford says, it says, I always think of it like this. People always like, man, you're millions of dollars in debt. Are you worried? Nope. Henry Ford was like $1 billion or something in debt. He's like, you could take it all away from me and I can get it all back because he has it up here. He has the knowledge. Mm-hmm. And you have the thing that a lot of people don't have, and that's that you just did it. I mean, I know it's not easy. It just sounds glamorous. I mean, tell us about a headache or do you have, I guess, end buyers not closing and you got to scramble or,
Yeah, we have that. And, we've had times where we've had to tell a seller we're sorry, because if it makes sense, we can buy it if we need to. But sometimes there's been houses where we didn't want it and somebody else said they're going to buy it and they backed out. And
then you're like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're up the creek. And sometimes it takes delicacy to go talk to that seller and say, hey, we still want to help you out. Maybe we'll do this, refer you to a realtor. So we try and still get what's best for everybody in the situation.
And what Luke is saying, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, what happens is that there's some scandalous wholesalers out there that will offer a little bit more than the average for a contract. And then the contract doesn't close because the real buyer, the investor, there's not enough room on the bone. Mm-hmm. So then that ghetto wholesaler will go back to the seller, and try to renegotiate the contract. And they've spent that money 10 times over in their mind, and then now they're taking another cut at the end. And I noticed that about you guys, and that's why I still do business with you cats, is because you really genuinely give them a fair price, and if it doesn't close, you do all. And I've seen at least 3 or 4 closings where you guys have made no money or $500.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to not let it go through. I mean, if we're only making $500, I mean, it's $500, $500.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a business to run, you got staff and marketing.
And like I said, some of the struggles have been when somebody on our team has messed up or whatever, and I have to answer to this buyer or to this seller, and you have to be the one to talk to this person or things like that. I wasn't a good manager when we first hired people because once again I felt like
Soft.
I was soft, and it's how do you
Sorry, I don't know how to say it.
that is what it is. I didn't know how to approach it. Like our acquisitions manager is older than me, so for the first few months I'm like, oh my god, what does he think? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But turns out he wants to be a part of a team and he respects what we're doing. So
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
I think that's great leadership. I think that, I own businesses and people work for me and they're a lot older than me. And I'm like, we're all a team. I can't do it without you. You can't do it without me. I can, wave a big stick and tell everybody that it goes nowhere.
Yeah.
To win, to make money and succeed, you got to have other people.
Yeah, he pumped our tires big time one time. I think him and I were having a beer or something. I don't remember. And I said, I always wonder what you tell your friends, like you work for two 26-year-olds. And he said, yeah, anytime my friends give me crap about it, I look at him and say, what are you doing when you were 26?
True.
And I thought, wow, that was really cool of him to say. I didn't think about that, and he's been a big key of why we've been successful. So.
Yeah, and I know this acquisition guy you're talking about. I think he's a wonderful guy. And Luke, I just want to tell you that the reason why I have you on the radio is because I want to other people to inspire. There's a 22-year-old, there's a 25-year-old. Like, get off the video games. I'm assuming you don't play video games.
Rarely. Yeah.
No, you're if you're on the computer, I'm assuming you're planning your next travel.
Sometimes, yeah. Either that or I'm watching the Thunder.
Yeah. So let's talk about travel.
Okay.
And again, the goal here is to inspire you folks that you need to be doing and living your dream. 26 years old, why not? Why cannot you? The reason why I'm sitting here on this radio show is that some 18-year-old punk kids that were in a punk band owned a duplex and they were able to travel the world and not worry about their rent because the next door neighbor was paying their rent. I mean, what a lifestyle you can have with real estate. Speaking of the lifestyle, where have you traveled in this year and a half so quickly, and why'd you do it?
Quick backstory. It started one time Sean and I were at a closing. I signed up for this travel newsletter I have for years.
Travel Zoo.
Yeah, it is Travel Zoo.
Yep.
And I think I told Sean about it, and I had never really taken advantage, but we were joking around. I saw a great China deal. And I was like, Sean, you want to go to China for 8 days for $700 or something? He said,
I remember.
And he said, yeah, sure. And I thought, okay, well, we both we were half kidding, and then we bought the tickets the next day because it's a ridiculous deal, and it was an amazing experience. But then 2 weeks later, we were out having some beers again, and I said, we're going to be on that part of the world. Where else would you want to go? He said, well, I've always wanted to go to Russia. And I said, okay. And he thought I was joking this time. And then the next day we just skipped our flights back from Shanghai and went to Russia, and we loved it. And
wait a minute. So you're like in Russia with no plane tickets back yet?
No, we bought our plane tickets back like, I don't know, 2 days before we left or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But we one of the biggest things that started the travel was, coincidentally, we decided to joke about doing this travel, and then we went to do it. And then at Tony Robbins' Business Mastery last year, he always says, I'm going to miss this quote, but it's, basically, if it's written down in your planner, it's not real until it's written down. Something like that.
Yeah, write your goals.
Yeah, write your goals, and if it's not written down, then
they're fake.
Then
they're
fake.
wishes.
And so I had been talking about going to Costa Rica. It had been on my vision board for probably a year and a half or whatever.
Well, this is your second trip we're talking.
Yeah, so I planned that one before we went to China.
Okay.
And I thought...
You were there for a month.
Yeah, I didn't know how long I was going to go, but I was at Tony Robbins, and he said, he said those, quote, wise words, and then we went to dinner like 30 minutes later, and Sean was like, what are you doing? I said, I just booked a ticket to Costa Rica. And he said, how long? I said, I don't know. I'll buy my ticket when I get there.
Yeah, I mean, you've got an apartment. I'm living vicariously through you, so through Sean. Sean tells me, and I'm like, so, okay, let's get back to the first trip, China, then to Russia. You're the both owners of the business.
Mm-hmm.
What
didn't go that smoothly. I mean, it really, this is what was great about those two trips was it really showed us what was the kinks in our armor, what kind of systems we need to put in place so that these things can happen. It came back and Josh was running around with his head cut off, and he was...
No, this is the acquisition.
Yeah. Okay. And so he was saying, oh my gosh, we need this, we need that. And we thought, okay, well, as soon as we get back, it'll get done.
I agree. I don't know what the term is. It's a pressure test or a test and see if it explodes. So both you guys are out of the country in another country in running a business. And do you know how many deals you did during that time? And how long were you guys gone for?
We were gone about 2.5 weeks that time. And
with Russia and China?
Yeah.
So 2.5 weeks?
It was a week and a half for each one, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys were gone for almost 3 weeks. Did you do deals during that time?
Yeah, we did a few. I don't remember the exact amount.
I mean, that's kind of sexy. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I'm just saying, like, you're like, both of you jokers are over the country, and there's two people on the boots on the ground, and your VA are running your company. You're not there.
Yeah, and
so let's scale that up by 10.
Yeah, let's do it. And you were just saying, what's that like? What's that feeling? And this is gonna sound completely pompous, but the epitome of feeling like, oh, we own a business happened when I was in Costa Rica. I was really pissed off about some deal. You know what Voxer is?
Yes.
Yeah, well, we use Voxer for communication. Turns out some deal's not going to go through, or, some small hiccup. It was tiny, but I was frustrated. And I almost slammed my phone in my backpack. And then I looked at this guy right over next to me who I just met like 3 days ago, and he was like, "You ready to go?" And I said, "Sure." And I put my surfboard in my hands. We went out. I was on the beach when I was pissed off, and that was the epitome of like, you know what, life's not so bad. Like, that deal's not going through, but I'm achieving my goal and my dream right now. So who cares if that one deal doesn't go through, because life's fantastic. And we went out and surfed.
Yeah, I love the quote that Sean tells me. He probably got it from you. It's like, live by life design. Lifestyle. How do you guys say?
I believe it's lifestyle design, but that's probably a Tim Ferriss thing.
I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
But one of you jokers said it to me, and I'm like, you got to live life by design. Mm-hmm. And I think you're dead. That's it, right? I mean, I wish I'm 43. I mean, I'm living my dream today. You're 26. You're living. I mean, you may never buy a house again. Does it really matter? But you've got to experience life to the fullest. Mm-hmm. Now your partner is out of the country.
Yep.
As we speak right now. I can't keep up with them. What's it like now? You guys kind of have an understanding. When you were in Costa Rica for a month, Luke stayed here. He kind of run. Is that a normal business practice now? You guys, like, after the Russia deal, hey, we're not both leaving?
No, because we both went to Spain and Portugal in October, and we went together. And then
you stayed.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't get back on the plane, but
see ya.
Yeah, I ended up staying.
And Sean doesn't get pissed off, like, as a business partner.
No, as long as we continue to get our stuff done, then it doesn't matter.
And your operations, and you can get your stuff done on a laptop somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Yep. The one big thing we've had struggles with is when we're double closing a property or closing on a property. Sometimes you have to sign a deed. So how do we get that done? Because Oklahoma, you can't do digital signatures and things like that.
So FedEx is the only
FedEx or
WH or DHL.
Yeah, so now we, only one of us has to be at closing if we want to, or we wrote in our operating agreement an attorney that can go sign for us.
POA, power of attorney.
Yeah, so stuff like that, and with assignment agreements, you don't even have to be at closing. So
now a lot of people, I just recently got in a partnership. And a lot of people have just, ragged me. Why are you in a partnership? You don't need that person. What's it like being in a partnership? I'm assuming you've heard a lot of negativity about partners. They'll burn you. They'll steal from you.
Yeah, somebody we both know and probably have a lot of respect for. I've heard him say partnerships are sinking ships.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to know. I don't want the negativity, because I have a partnership right now, and it's just so funny that people tell me it, and I'm like, what the... Like, it's too late. Like, I've already signed the docs. Like, I'm in an LLC with this individual, and of course, Satan attacks me. I'm like, oh man, they could go bankrupt.
Well, the way I look at it, Google has two founders.
Yeah, well, I agree. So, I mean, I just, if you really want to scale your life, right, you got to have a partner. I mean, like, I want to do a podcast on this alone. Like, you can't do this business alone. You can. But you'll go nowhere. It will be very marginal. If you want to do great things, you got to have people. Google had people. Everyone has people. Jesus had 12. All right, he changed the world with 12. So, what's it like being in a partnership? I mean, it's almost like a marriage. Growing pains. Is it been great? Are you always going to stick in a partnership? I mean, I know that's kind of a negative thing to say.
I have no idea. We need to define what our goals are extremely long term for Speedy, but I know that we both have other interests in other areas as well. But I think we'll always have this one, unless somebody just came and offered us an obscene amount of money for our business.
Which is possible.
Yeah, but
it's not me.
It's not probably, but we.
I'm not into wholesaling. I'm into buying from wholesalers. I'm not into running that whole opera. It's too much work for me.
We've had very small hiccups. I can't remember of a time ever that either we've been yelling at each other or anything.
Well, he's got a calm demeanor. Your personality is similar, I guess. I mean, if you love accounting and finance, you got to be some detailed. Do you guys have like a you know, I think that there's a document that you have to go to, like, you know, bylaws. Do you guys have like, you know, hey, like the partnership that I'm in? Here's an example. This individual takes care of the finances and do this, and I do some of the property man. I'm the hammer dropper, or I'm the one that gets it done.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'll do the acquisition, the other person does the financing. There's a property management issue. I'm the authority. She leases it out.
Yeah, and we don't necessarily have a written document between the two of us. I mean, obviously you're operating agreement, but
Sure.
like you're good at this, I'm good at that. We probably should have that, but I think we kind of both know what the other one
So it's cool.
wants to handle or is good at, and it can get done. So,
Okay.
and you know, he's out of town right now, and can't think of anything that's gone wrong that if I thought if Sean were here, then this wouldn't have happened, and I don't think that that's happened the other way around either. So
Yeah, I just think that you're super mature. I really can't figure out why people say that all the time. I mean, I know that, you know, something's gonna happen somewhere along the line. You're gonna have conflict. It's just life. I think it's a level of maturity that will correct those maladies of what's wrong.
yeah, the couple times we've had hiccups. Not even big things. It said, hey, I didn't like when you said this or when you did this.
Miscommunication.
And I said, well, this is why this is, or he said, this is why this is. And we thought, oh, okay, well, disagree, agree, whatever. Or you take this one, I got the next one.
You know, ultimately it boils down to expectations and communication, just like a marriage. You're too young. You don't understand that yet. Maybe we'll get married one day. But, you know, every time I have a conflict with my wife, it's always because I misunderstood what she said or I didn't communicate properly. And I have an expectation, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. And that's usually where the communication breaks down.
That's human interaction to its T. Like
I'm frustrated.
If expectations aren't met, then that's where there's a problem.
Yeah, awesome.
And if you don't communicate those, then you're always going to have a problem.
Okay, so there's a young kid out there that's your age, wants to get in business. What advice would you give him?
Besides start?
Like get off the couch? Hello?
Show up to things.
Ooh.
I would say that,
And that's how we met.
yeah. I was
That's how you
doing
met Sean.
I was doing some small wholesaling. I was doing some things like that, but didn't really start getting a lot better at it and things like that until I started showing up to meetings. So until I started getting to know people.
And then you started speaking. You have a little meetup. Do you guys still do that meetup thing?
We haven't done it in a few months. We might get back into it at some point.
Right, but I mean, you were speaking, so you're just pushing yourself to do things. Speaking of that, what's the next thing for you guys? Do you forecast like 3-year, 5-year, or are you guys just enjoying the time now? What's going on in the culture of your business?
Would like to expand to a couple cities and really take on. We have a goal of doing 8 flips this year. You know, it's not mind blowing for a fix and flipper or anything. You know, there's people.
Well,
out there
what does Nathan Cow do?
That's a good question. You have to ask. You mean as far as numbers?
Like, I mean, I know his numbers. I know he makes a lot. It does well. Good
Yeah,
for
I just
him.
mean I don't know how many.
But
I would guess he's got
one a
more than
month?
10 projects going on at a time, and so by no means is that going to impress Nathan that we're doing 8. But
No, we're not trying to impress people.
no, but
But I mean, he's a full-time guy killing it.
Yeah, Nathan is absolutely killing it, and for Sean and I, that'd be a big growth process to do 8 in 1 year. And if we're anywhere near it, sweet. And if we hit it, even better.
So let's get into this fix and flip deal. Why are you doing that?
Because
Again, cash again?
You know, yeah, cash again. Sometimes
Fun?
The couple times I've done it, I have enjoyed it. I don't like it as much as wholesaling, but
But I know Sean doesn't enjoy it as much as you, because I remember you guys did that Southside house, and he was like, "This is too much drama."
yeah.
I'm assuming. I think it was your first flip. I don't know, but I remember him.
I believe the South. You mean the Southside one he had a couple years ago?
Yeah, I think it was, he's like, "This is terrible."
Yeah, that was before we were partners, and not that I would have solved all those problems, but we haven't had that experience
Okay,
together.
all right, because that's the last time I talked to him about flips. So
yeah,
I didn't know you guys. I didn't even know you guys were flipping. So that's cool.
we did 2 or 3 last year, and so
And they're just fun.
it's fun seeing a transition, you know, and you can make more money doing it. So if we could have only made 10 versus 35, and
Sure.
for us,
Why not?
for us, we want kind of cookie cutter ones, you know, can't lose type deals.
Okay, so for you to yield 35, I mean, you got to have a lot of skin in the game. It's got to be a $150,000 house, $200,000 house. Do you guys ever get nervous?
See, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that.
They're smaller deals that make
Yeah,
35?
like the one we did last year, we made 25 on, we bought the house for $35,000 and sold it for 86.
Okay. So, okay, but still, the question is, but that's good numbers to understand. How about the fear of the debt of not selling? How do you manage that? Because like when I look at those flips, man, I was looking at one in Edmond the other day, and I was like, okay, I buy it for 80. They say 100. I offered 80. I can do it for 90. I'm only going to make 10,000. All this work and effort, I'm only going to make. How do you deal with that type of mentality and stress of like it may not sell?
Then I think you just have to be smart to understand that if I have to put permanent financing on this, that it's going to cash flow or at least break even.
Okay, so you have a backup. So you have an exit strategy per se for every flip that you are potentially going to take on. Hey, we may hold this deal.
Yep, and that's what scares. I'd love to do a historic flip in Mesta Park. You know, I don't have the experience yet to mess with the historical.
You will win
preservation.
big.
You can win big.
I know someone just won big there.
Yeah, and I think it'd be fun. I think it would take a long time, but it is a big risk. You know, you're not gonna be able to rent a $350,000 house for $4,000 a month here.
No, you're gonna get 2,000.
Yeah, and so
you're gonna eat.
But right now we're in a super hot market, so if you know you can get it done in a certain amount of time and you're experienced, then it's not as big a risk for somebody like that. For me, that's a big risk because I haven't done it.
So, okay, I get it. So it's what you haven't done. So, and then for you, obviously, it's just a calculated risk. Mm-hmm. So, like, because your finance degree, you just look at the numbers. Like, if we had to borrow this money, this is our acquisition cost. This is what we're going to yield. It's just like a common thing, like how I calculate ROI on a rental property.
Yep.
Okay, interesting.
And if we had to fire sale this thing,
what's the number? That's how I look at it.
Yeah, at least break even, you know.
Well, where I always look into this is like the construction side of things. It always never goes well, and it's like, man, you're digging into this deal. All of a sudden, there's termite damage. All of a sudden, oh, there's another 5,000. Yep. The other deal, I flipped a property where the ductwork was so bad, we couldn't sell the dumb thing. We had to put 5,000 in concessions to replace all the ductworks.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like, wow, there goes your. But guess who got paid? The realtor.
Yep.
She made her commission. The other realtor made her commission, but we took it, and it's a podcast I did not too long ago. I'm like, it was like a $380,000 house. We sold it for $285,000. We're thinking we got it under contract for $255,000. Dude, we're amazing.
Yeah,
we're amazing. We were gonna flip this deal. If I would have flipped this thing, if I would have it would have been, I would have lost money. I would have choked out if I would have took it on as a project. But I just assigned the contract. I put it on the MLS, and next thing you know, this is. Like we netted $2,500,
but it was a learning experience.
Yeah, good for you there, buddy. That's why you're 26 at 43. $2,500 is like Chick-fil-A, maybe for a little while.
Yeah, I agree. But
that's why I have bad taste. I mean, every deal I've ever done, like that's like a considered like we were gonna flip it, we're gonna make 60. Yeah, and and you're like you keep saying this is a hot market. I'm like, this is cooling off. Speaking of the market, you're seeing deals all day. You're getting phone calls all day. How long is this hot market going to stay?
That is a good question. For the past year, I thought, well, it'll go through the election. And then
God, what is going on with
in
that
this
guy?
Right now? Oil is kind of coming back a little bit. That's a big economic determiner in our market here in Oklahoma City. So,
so you don't see it coming anytime soon.
I'd hate to speculate. I have no idea, but I think it's coming. I just don't know how long. I don't know that this is sustainable.
I don't know either. I mean, I'm still finding deals. People yell at me all the time. How are you not finding deals? And I'm not doing the type of marketing and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars of marketing. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the scale of their business. They are doing over $10,000. I'm assuming, right? I don't want to get into the technical details of your business because it's none of my business, but I know enough. Because I do market.
Yeah.
I know you guys are spending over $10,000 a month in marketing to yield the numbers that you're yielding.
Yeah.
So that's a big commitment in itself. I mean, you have a big machine that, I have a property management company. I understand what it takes to keep this thing rolling. Insurance, gasoline, hey, I like to eat, So so new market possible for yourself personally? Luke Ward, international traveler. Any traveling still bug?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Where's the next cities you want to know?
I would like to go start in Vietnam and go through Laos and Thailand and then end up in Bali. And then while I was traveling last time, I made a good friend who lives in Australia, so I'd kind of like to end up there and hang out. And
still do your business.
Yep.
Difficulties do you have? Is there internet issues in these countries?
Sometimes, but I take what's called a MiFi router with me. So,
From Virgin?
I bought one in Costa Rica. It's called from Movistar or something like that. I can't remember, but it's it's Huawei, however you say that. And
I used to have that thing.
You go around to
like
you
a
just go to the
hotspot.
cell phone store and you put a little SIM card in there, and so you have Wi-Fi. And there's been countries when I was in
Costa Rica?
No, when I was in Morocco, like we have our team meeting every Monday, and they banned Skype in Morocco for some reason. So I was trying to figure out how to get in on the team meeting here, and so but FaceTime audio worked. And there's been times connections haven't been great.
Well, like Facebook too, right? Facebook's been a pretty good source of phone.
You can do Facebook and all that.
I mean, like I'm talking about communication wise.
Yeah, it's fantastic. WhatsApp. Things like that.
And you guys, another thing is Voxer is real big for you guys, and that just keeps your business in line on every transaction.
Yeah, yep. And so we kind of all know what's going on. We've got our acquisitions Voxer communication, then we've got a sales one, then we've got a whole team discussion.
And then you have your VA that you probably don't communicate, but just by email.
She's on Skype every day. Yeah.
Cool.
And like I said, there's been times there's been an internet connection out, or somebody needed an answer and we weren't on Wi-Fi for a bit or whatever, and sometimes it's amazing what people can work out when you don't have you're not there to tell them the answer. They can figure it out pretty easily.
That is actually a good idea. I like the 24-hour rule. Like, let's think, if we can't solve the problem, let's just think about it before we go to the next level. All right, so travel is in your thing, maybe expansion. Okay, I'm a landlord. So real estate properties, you're going to keep owning them?
Yep. I'm torn between the wanting to have a couple hundred like yourself and wanting to have 50 paid off.
Oh.
Because like I said, I hate property management. So
well, it's a natural beast.
Yeah,
you just have to have good property management.
Yep.
Team.
And so I've transitioned over to that. So I think I'd like to be at I don't exactly know how many units by the end of the year, but
cool.
I'm more focused on trying to pay some off right now than I am buying. If I find the right ones, I'll buy it.
And in the motive to pay them off, is that just less stress for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you just don't want to deal with the headache.
Yeah, and I'd like to know that if all else failed in my life, I could make this much per month and be anywhere in the world, and it's not going to matter.
Right on. All right, man. Well, Luke, you have been an amazing interview, amazing individual. You're very inspiring. You're living your dreams. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to live your dreams. If you want to get a hold of Speedy House Buyers, it's SPEEEDY. That's right. 3 E's housebuyers.com. Is that the best way to get a hold of you?
Our buyers list, it's homesforsaleokc.com.
Homes for Sale OKC. Definitely, even if you're in another part of the world, get on. You got to get it to meet Luke. Get on his Facebook page. He's super inspiring, living his dreams with real estate. And you can do the same, right? I mean,
anybody can do it.
People ask you, how'd you do it? And what's I know that question must come up at 26 years old. I mean, you have a net worth that's already, you can pretty much stop. I mean, not completely live the lifestyle that you want, but you have enough to just eke by. Mm-hmm. Okay. And a lot of people are just content with eking by. What do you tell these people that ask you, how'd you do it?
Passion and persistence, a little bit of luck, and building a good team.
Awesome. Excellent advice. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Steven Van Kellenberg. You listen to the Savvy Radio Show. I appreciate you. Take care.
Thank you.
Investor Weekend is not far off, with over 10 information sessions to increase your portfolio. Log on to www.investorweekend.com. Whether you are a seasoned investor or never purchased a property before, you don't want to miss the Investor Weekend. Join us for a powerful, knowledge-packed weekend with over 10 informational sessions that are bound to enlarge your real estate investments. You will hear from the best national and local real estate investors that will share practical and relevant experiences with you, the investor. There will be several networking sessions to connect with other like-minded people for potential funding, partnerships, and yes, hot deals. Go to www.investorweekend.com. Did you know we meet once a month for the Landlord Lunch Meeting? The third Wednesday of every month. Go to landlordlunch.com.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.